Unscripted. I am so excited about being here. I am Kelly Garrett, and I have my friend
Katrina Michelle.
and this is going to be our first. This is an inaugural podcast, and this is going to be a podcast about just life and how it can be fun sometimes, sad sometimes, crazy sometimes. And it's just for you to hear some of our guests, but also ask us questions, and hopefully we can answer to the best of our ability. We'll just leave it at that. And the greatest thing today is I have a special guest in here.
Oh my God, guess who's here? Kelly's daddy. We're both daddy's girls. So I would like to, I'm super excited. First, I want to say to Kelly, thank you for bringing me along on this journey.
No
I really appreciate it.
No problem.
And I want to bring on and introduce none other than Kelly's dad, W. That stands for
He's not going to do it.
Wonderful.
Wonderful Jerry Garrett.
Yay, thank
We
you.
need a
I know, we do
applause
need an applause button right here. So just starting out is that, you know, you've been a guiding force in my life, whether I wanted it or not, but you have guided me to be the person that I am today, and I do want to give you a lot of praise and honor for that. And so I just want you to let people know, well, my number one thing is to say that my father is very, very successful, and he would tell anyone that would listen to him how successful he really is. But I just wanted you to tell people, one, of how did you get here? That's the mode for today. How did we get to where we're at today? So I really wanted to start with you, I can't say 70-year-old juvenile delinquent, so that'll be your own show, but I gave you a plug for that.
Can I talk now?
Yeah, you
Hello, I would like to start this off with, I am Jerry Garrett, and my credibility is I am in the top 5% of the United States of the amount of money I earn.
Okay, see, that's
So what I said has some credibility. I am now, as of yesterday, an 80-year-old juvenile delinquent.
Happy birthday.
Happy belated birthday.
And I think that through the ups and downs of my life, I think that some of my adventures will help other people find their way.
So what did you do to get where you're at? I mean, where did you start from? Let's start there.
I came from a family of 6 kids, and when I was about 10 years old, we were living in a 3-bedroom house, and we slept 3 kids to a bed. And one night, I must have been about 10, I was laying there, and there were 2 feet, 2 sets of feet in my face, and I said, this is not how life is supposed to be.
And how old were you when you decided? Oh, you said 10 years old. That's when you knew. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And basically, I had 2 friends that were, back in those days, what you would call rich. And they have a word, I won't use it. Yes, I will. Nigger rich.
Now you see why Mark insisted on him being on this.
But
Oh, Lord.
I think that where I grew up, and I had these friends, and they had some wonderful things. They had a bedroom of their own, and the richest one of my friends had a dresser in there, and he had his brush and comb and cologne on it, and his clothes were hanging up neatly ironed in the closet.
I had a question real quick. So are you saying that your clothes were not in the closet and you did not have your own brush and comb?
No. It's the difference is if you were listening, 6 kids, 3 bedrooms, 3 closets, and probably 2 brushes and combs in the whole house.
And where did you grow up at?
Oh, I grew up in Delray. You could ask the questions if you want.
Oh, thank you. That's why I was trying to help you along.
I know I could talk forever.
We know that, that you can. So you grew up in Delray, and there were 6 kids at that point.
Yes.
Okay. So what made you leave Delray?
Well, I have so many stories, but then it affects other people's lives.
Coming closer. Your sister says she can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? I have a soft voice. I've never done this before.
That's okay.
I normally do personal things. But anyway, I grew up in Delray, and Delray has always been a motivation in my life. And the motivation was I never want to go back to Delray.
Well, you might not have to worry about it because there is no such city as there anymore. When we went down there, all the stuff was gone.
Yeah, but the symbol of Delray is poverty. When I grew up, it wasn't poverty. It was segregation and poverty where the colored people lived.
Yeah, so let me put it this way, a lot of the opinions that you're going to hear from Jerry Garrett does not reflect Kelly and Katrina. So, when did you leave Delray?
I left Delray at 19 years old, married, baby on the way, in college, and that's what I left.
So, if you had anything to do over again at 18 or 19, what would you do differently? Okay, don't answer that. Okay, let me.
I think if you really want
you got to pull the microphone closer to you. Okay, go ahead.
If you really want me to charter my life, I was a juvenile delinquent, and my parents, to keep me out of trouble, kept me in summer school every year. So I graduated from high school. I had just turned 16 years old.
You graduated at 16?
Yeah.
Okay.
Summer school.
No, I guess that
I
makes
never
sense.
knew what a summer vacation was until I was 30. Because at 19, I had to make money to feed my wife and soon-to-be baby, and live in a decent new neighborhood. At that time, it was Northwest Detroit, which is a ghetto now. But
Oh, so sorry again. Well, life unscripted. This is why it's called that. So, fast forward. What would be your greatest accomplishment?
I think the biggest accomplishment I think is more important if you talk about what shapes a person and how do they grow. I always wanted recognition, and at one point I thought it was being tough and doing things for recognition. And basically that's why I got in a lot of trouble from 12 to 13 years. And basically, every summer I would be dragged by the police down to the police station with my parents. And all they would do at that time is slap you on the finger. But then me and my boys decided we wanted to steal a car. So my father had a Chevrolet, 1953 Chevrolet, which meant you could turn the car on without the key if people left the ignition, the switch on. So we would go out and we'd go up and down the street and we turned.
So let me get this right real quick. So I don't recall this part of our talking, but are you saying that you are like Grand Theft Auto and now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
It's really important if you really want to know how things changed in my life.
Your sister's going crazy.
But anyway, we had stole probably about 4 or 5 cars. We take it and go for a joyride. But then we got this green Bel Air Chevrolet, and it was so tough, leather seats. And me and my friend Johnny Cook thought we were going to keep that one. So we drive it around and we park it.
So we're sorry for Johnny Cook, whose family might not have known this. Again, don't.
Well, Johnny's dead, so he has.
It's okay.
But anyway,
Oh goodness.
so then we thought we'd park it and we'd go get it the next day and drive around. And then we were going to go to the roller skating ring in Southwest Detroit, which is where the would-be wealthy chicks lived. And we were going down on 4th Street, and all of a sudden, a nerve, this police car pulled up with the lights flashing and said, "Pull it over." And so Johnny said, "Hold on." And so they chased us, and we crashed the car, and we got away. But then I had my older brother, which was the big mistake. He didn't run. He didn't get away. And then he went there and squealed. Long story short, we all ended up at Fort and Greene Police Station. Charles, my older brother, he had to go to jail. He was 17.
Yes, so when I say your sister's going nuts, she is going absolutely bananas about
But more
your-
important,
She said,
but more importantly, I had to go to, back then they used to call it the detention home. And so I spent the night in the detention home. And that was the changing point of my life. I never thought that it was wrong stealing the car. I thought, was it worth it, me being embarrassed and my parents and my uncle and my whole family coming down there to look at me? And basically, the experience of being a rejected teenager where the other kids' parents
That's his phone, of course.
would not allow their kids to
He
play
can-
with.
and he-
we just talked about that.
and he will continue talking.
And, I said, well, is it really worth it? There's other ways to be recognized. And I came up with 2 slogans. I guess 2 thoughts of it is that before you do anything, understand what the consequences of your actions are. And if you're willing to pay the price for whatever you do, then go ahead and do it.
So let me ask you this question, and Katrina, feel free, because I have these questions all the time. So saying that you have to be willing to take the consequences or whatever, what would you give someone advice right now? So let's say there's a young man that's struggling right now with whatever, and that they might have had their life go in a direction they didn't want to go in. What advice would you give them now to become as successful as you have become?
I think there are keys to being successful. And when I look at successful, first, the most important thing is you have to have a goal. And you really have to have something that you want to achieve. Unfortunately, back then, I wanted to be, and it's dumb now, it seems petty, a millionaire, which is such a small number.
Okay, so again,
No, I mean, it's really important. You have to have something that's big. That's number one. You have to look at the consequences of everything you do. And most importantly, everything that you do, you have to ask yourself, what's in it for me?
yes, I've grown up off of that.
And basically, That's what I taught both my daughters to do. They don't follow them exactly. But then I always used to, their discipline was, why did you do it? And that's it. Plus, you have to have faith in something greater than you. I'm not saying be a Christian or Muslim or whatever, but you have to have something greater than you. And it depends on how you communicate, very much so, with that person
Or
or thing,
the deity or whatever.
power or
Yes.
whatever.
Gotcha.
And you have to have faith that you're going to get there, whatever your vision is.
Huh.
I-
Did you want to?
Did I want to chime in?
Yeah, because it's like playing double dutch with.
So you said that your goal is what keeps you going. You have to have a goal. What do you do, and what would you recommend when you can't keep going, when you feel like you're going to quit?
I think there's just, you grow. I said, number one, I knew it was a better way. Like my brothers and sisters, they thought they were living great. They had friends. They ate every night. That was happiness. And I knew it was something better. And at that time, now they call it a role model. And back then, we had people in my neighborhood, the role models were, you either worked at a factory, you were a minister, and if you were a liar back then, with lawyer, you were a lawyer.
Sorry
or
for
a
all of
doctor.
the lawyers.
Those were really the choices. And I didn't want to be any of those things. So I went out and I found a role. I didn't know it was a role model. I found what I wanted to be. And it was a Jewish white family that lived in Huntington Woods. And I decided in my head that I was part of that family. And basically, I learned how to dress pretty much like Mr. Jaspy dressed. And just thought the way I thought Mr. Jaspy would think. And from that point on, I modeled myself like Jewish people I knew, which that only came after I became 19 to get really work for, I'll say white people.
This is
And I learned if you're really successful, you drink scotch, you play golf,
Scotch and golf. Okay.
and you go to health clubs.
so. People are asking, who is this speaking? Believe it or not, it is my father, Jerry Garrett, who is speaking. This is going to give you a lot of insight about me, I'm sure, and why I am who I am. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Katrina.
But the whole idea is, I said, you got to have a dream.
Yep.
You
I believe in
and you, when people, I don't know, piss you off. How about that? Well, such as when I was in high school, the girls that I wanted really used me as second choice because the guys that played football and stuff, they went with them. And I was always said, okay, I'll show you. And when I grew up and made money, when I made enough money to buy a good car and live in a good area, and these ghetto rat girls, they would see me, and I would date them, and I'd let them know, ha ha, look at me now, baby. But anyway, that's it.
Okay, so I have lived with him for almost 55 years, and that has been something that he's always said is that somebody treats you bad, do whatever you have to do to get back at them. Or no, you just wait, and the opportunity is going to come. That's not how I operate, everyone, so just know that. So what would you think is your biggest failure?
My biggest failure.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I think my biggest failure was I didn't think big enough. I think that's probably my biggest. But then I didn't think no one at that time thought that you wanted to be a billionaire. You know,
Well,
it's too old for me realistically to think I'm going to be a billionaire.
let me ask you this question. And anyone that is online can ask questions. I see one. What was that one? How do you know you're thinking big enough?
That's a very good question. My mistake was I was so caught up with being a millionaire, and I was totally depressed when I was 29 years old and I was going to be 30 and I hadn't made $1 million. And my goal hung there it hung there most of my life, you know.
Yes.
And I think that goals should be set high, extremely high, and you should train yourself or discipline yourself to think in terms of stepping stones. And your goals should get larger as you get closer to your goals.
Gotcha. How do you keep your eye? I'm sorry, Katrina. I know I'm just because.
You're fine.
How do you keep your eye on the prize? How do you keep your goals right in front of you? I know, but
Oh, I think there's all kind of ways. And, you know, part of the things that taught me, and people teach you things. Like I had this horrible, horrible name, first name named after my father. No,
it's not a horrible name. It just doesn't
Don't.
fit right now. I'm not gonna say it. It just doesn't fit your lifestyle right now.
No,
So
but
no
just-
worries.
my first real office job, you know, that was used to be a big thing, being a colored person. You be the first colored person that ever had this job. And I went for this white company. And it was so great, they took ad out the paper and said, "Welcome, W. Jerry Garrett to Fidelity Mutual." And they had my picture there. But my boss or manager, Pat Coffey, we were sitting there
Just
talking.
drop names. Just dropping names.
And Pat said to me,
Oh Lord.
you know, we used to go to lunch, and he said to me, you know, Willie. Oh! He said, that name sounds too ethnic. I didn't even know what ethnic meant.
Oh my God.
But,
that was classic.
He liked the name Jerry, which I always went by as a kid anyway. And he said, maybe you should be W. Jerry Garrett. And that became my professional name.
Well, everybody now knows that, you know, the hundreds of people that are viewing. Just kidding.
No. But anyway, I just think that things to move in life, you have to have a goal. You have to always stay young at heart. It's funny, when my kids were in school, the principals and things used to call me to school when they were bad.
They weren't bad. It was
Well, they weren't bad, but they got in trouble, however you put it. and especially one of my daughters. And she would do these things. And the first time I was called, the elementary school principal called me over, and Kelly.
You have no
Yes, may have
filter.
another daughter
It's
named Kelly.
oh my goodness.
Kelly and her girlfriend.
Don't say her name because people do know her. So
They were sitting in the principal's office. Kelly was just sitting there humming. And the other girl was crying because her mother was coming. And so they took me in there, and the principal said, well, you know, I gave Kelly at blah, blah
thank
the
you.
responsibility of taking this cart. You used to have a projectors on the cart. You roll them down a hall that's empty. And
We're
they were-
only, and duly note that we were only in third grade and given the responsibility of taking this projector back to the AV room. And it was on the cart that rolled.
Did it stay on the car?
and it just seemed, since I was a young guy and a juvenile delinquent,
I was not a juvenile delinquent.
what would you do if you have a cart with a smooth road, but push the cart, go fast, and jump on it and ride it? So I laughed and said, how far did you get? and they were explaining to me how expensive this piece of equipment was. So why would you give a kid
Right.
this to take back? You should have taken it back yourself. So they didn't bother me no. And then one more story that's my favorite story.
Let me just start it and I'll tell you whether or not we're going to cut your mic off. Just start because somebody did ask another question for you.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
So the question was, what motivates you to get up every day, money notwithstanding, excuse me. What motivates you to get up every day and stay in the game? Because you still go to work every single day, right?
Maybe not every day. I forgot to add something else. I've never, ever did anything that I didn't enjoy doing. I've never had a job I didn't enjoy doing.
That's
So
huge.
going to work is going to play or doing something that I enjoy doing. I forgot that's another thing. I could tell so many
So are you
stories.
telling people to do what they enjoy and not do things that make them unhappy, even though they might be making a lot of money?
Yeah, I think that if you enjoy what you're doing, that the money will come. And the more you enjoy it, the sooner the money would come, with the knowledge that you have to do things that you don't like doing, so you don't have to do it for long.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to see if anyone else has any questions or if Katrina wants to ask any questions, because this is my father and I know he has many stories in the hopper waiting to be told. So, and some of those questions or stories might involve me, and everybody doesn't know me just yet. So, you have any?
I don't have any, but I want to say that every time I got in trouble, I was with Kelly. So I know that to be true.
The only time I recall, and I don't even think that you remember this, Dad, but it was
What about the paper towel, was it?
no, this because Katrina lived down the street from Grandma, and so Kathy, I think Kathy was Kathy watching us. No, I was actually your mother was at your house.
You're right, house. Mm-hmm.
And because we were in dance class, you know, we always had the really fancy costumes, you know, with sequins. And I, go figure, I'm still into the whole sequins and costumes and feathers and things like that. However, Katrina and I got the great idea that we were going to put these costumes on and walk the streets of...
It was her idea. was her idea.
And I think we got to the corner of Hartwell and Cambridge, which that means we got one house down.
Right.
And her mother came out and started yelling at us about us being outside in these costumes walking the street.
I was a bumblebee.
Yeah, and I do remember
Yeah,
that because
yeah.
I had something gold on.
I had on fishnets and
Yeah.
a bumblebee costume.
And it could be no more than 7, 8, maybe.
Maybe.
And we're walking the street. So there's some things that we have done. So stop looking like you're so surprised or not surprised. But anyway, I don't get people in trouble. You have choices to be with me. And it's your choice if you want to follow suit or not. So we have another question. What do you think Kelly's best qualities are? And this is why I have tough skin. I want everybody to understand this. That's to you, Jerry.
What do I think Kelly's best qualities are?
Yeah, I have that wine now.
I think Kelly's best qualities is also her worst qualities. She sees weaknesses. No. Yeah, she sees weaknesses in other people. It's okay, that's all right, you're my friend. Hold my arm and we'll both get there.
In the new vernacular, that says that Kelly is Captain Save 'em. Save 'em. I'll just say that. Anyway, go ahead, Dad.
But and we're kidding. And the what's important, two ways. I think the most important thing in life is you have to remember what it's like to be young and identify with young people and the mistakes. I don't call them mistakes, but the things that they do at one point. If you live life, you've made those same type mistakes or something similar. I have to tell one more story.
Okay, and then
One
you
more,
have
please.
You have a question also. So you're gonna make the story short, or are you going to make it long? Because you have 2 more questions now. Okay, first question. Jerry, what was the most profitable decade from the 80s until 2024?
God, I want to say this, and it's going to sound braggadocious, but
Why stop now?
the most profitable year of my life was 2018, and that's when I made $2 million in 1 year. So most people can't say that.
Well,
So if that's the answer,
and another one is, are you proud? Oh, goodness. Are you proud of Kelly and the public service position she holds? Now, I don't want to go back on anti-anxiety pills because of 1 hour, but go ahead.
I'm extremely proud of Kelly for what she has accomplished in the short time that she was in Lathrop Village. She moved into she moved into Lathrop.
Just keep it. Just do it. What you think you shouldn't say, don't do it.
And but anyway, I think she had lived there maybe, I'm going to give her the long thing, 2 years.
4.
And she said, I'm going to run for council. I won't say the bad things, but I said, go for it. And she did win for council. And next thing she was saying, I'm going to be the mayor. And I think she was on council 2 years, maybe 4 years. And next thing she was deputy mayor. And then poor Frank.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Go ahead. Oh, my Lord.
Didn't know that Kelly was going to take his job.
Poor Frank.
And I'm extremely proud of Mayor Kelly.
Well, I believe that's the first time that you've used that title. So, what were we about to say? I thought you were about to say something.
Oh, I was going to tell about the paper towel.
Nope. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have this part, and it won't be as long. We'll try to keep it short, but it is gonna be Ask Jerry. It is gonna be a little segment, where you can call in or text in or however we're gonna do this, so you can ask some questions. So in closing, for you, do you have anything else you want to say? And don't say the toilet paper story.
Oh, I think that is so typical.
It's not. Just save it.
It is so typical.
Just save it, please.
Of parents that they fall into that, like my father, God rest his soul, always took the side of the teachers, and his thing was, you do what they tell you, and then if you want to be the boss or you want to be a teacher, go be a teacher, and then you can tell people what to do. But
don't say the story, Dad. Don't do it.
I want to make these women nuns, but I don't care. You weren't in Catholic school there. No.
I went to Mercy for Catholic school for high school, but no, that was Kim. That was younger.
Anyway, I was called to school, Berkeley, I think. What was the school? Levy or whatever that school was.
Why? We're not going to do all these stories right now about what I've done.
I want to tell this story because it's how parents should be with children.
Oh, so there is a question. Your niece asked this. So, knowing what you know today as an ex-delinquent, what would you say to the parents of current delinquents of today? How do you
Whip their ass?
Well, there's that part. So,
I wait a minute. You remember I said, know the consequences of your actions. Mm-hmm. And some things I felt so right in doing that my father would beat the hell out of me. And it's okay, I got my point across. And I think that you make your children determined to evaluate what's important and not important. But I think parents should use corporal punishment. I know my nephew and my other daughter don't believe in that type thing, but whatever. Can I please tell the story?
No, I don't want to. You're not going to tell the story of that, even though you have people asking to hear about the paper towel story. I mean, Katrina, it's up to you. It's just another. Just know that I am a respected elected official at the age I am, and the way I got to where I'm at right now is that I did do trials, tribulations, and I do face consequences, and so I try to make sure I don't do things that the consequences are going to be terrible. So if that would make you happy.
Make me terribly happy. I get this call. Mr. Garrett, could you come to the school? And I'm thinking Kelly's fell down the stairs or were hurt or whatever. But anyway, I go to the school, and Kelly's sitting in the office, principal's office. God, I want to say the other girl's name, but I won't.
You cannot say her name. We went to Adler Elementary, and so I will say that in Southfield in the 70s.
And she was just crying because her mother was
again. Same person with the projector. Understand, she was my best friend.
So the principal gets up when I walk in and walks around the desk and explains that Kelly and this girl were wetting paper towels and throwing them up to the ceiling to see if they're stuck. And I just smiled. I said, look, Kelly, how many did it stick? Because I'd done that. Everybody did that, and the principal was so disgusted that
At you.
he just walk around the desk and say, "I'm not going to call Mr. Garrett anymore. I'll call."
And they did not. They called my mother, and that's a whole nother show. Going forward from
Can I say one more thing?
sure, you've just talked the whole hour, but that's okay. Go ahead.
But the consequences of your action is the principal had called me to school. I think this was high school, Kelly, and they were going to suspend you for 1 day.
That was be at Mercy, and yes, it was because this is where my what's it called?
Advocacy.
Yes, advocacy. I can't talk today. And my what is it? Where I fight for the little people. But go ahead. Yes, I'm proud of this one.
You don't know the one I'm going to say.
You were only called to Mercy once.
No, I was called a couple times. I was called about the vest,
Yes, my favorite one.
and I don't know what. Oh, I was called about the vest. I was called about the funeral. I'm not going to tell that one.
And don't say that name. I mean, so anyway.
But long story short, they thought they were going to make me feel bad. They said, "Well, Kelly is going to be suspended for 1 day." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to keep her home for 3 or 4 days." And so Kelly couldn't go to school for 3 days, and she sat there and look at the bus as the bus would come by, and she couldn't get on the bus.
It's like, and you know me, like I cared at that
Well,
point.
you weren't
know?
suspended anymore.
Well, the fact is that, the difference between kids now and the kids of us growing up, when I got in trouble and I was told to go to my room or I couldn't talk on the phone or watch TV, there wasn't anything on TV anyway. That's why I'm an avid reader to this day, because I didn't care. I'll go outside. And so, it's a difference. You took away the television, like I didn't want to watch the news anyway. At this point.
Oh, I just got another story.
No. Okay. So what we're going to do is we'll bring you back on at another time because Katrina and I have to explain why we're even here. But now you know a little bit about me because now you met the person that has groomed me to be the woman that I am today. So now I'm sure there's a lot of people now saying, that makes sense. So thank you, Father, for coming. We will have you back. I promise. You don't have to worry about doing your own show.
Can I say something about that?
Go ahead.
Of course he can.
Literally, we had a legal thing, and this is how you acted in court. But
Well, I do want to say this. I do have very deep concerns about young black men, especially young ghetto black men, boys. And a friend of mine, he's dead now, but we were thinking in terms of starting a radio show calling The Two 70-Year-Old Delinquents and just talk about the trials and tribulations of kids that don't have anyone to talk to. I certainly didn't have, I don't think. I had a lot of grown-ups that loved me and always told me what to do and what good kids do. And I said, I don't want to be a good kid. I don't want to be. There's nowhere in the hell I want to go and be a postman. A good job that
we love the postman. Thank you.
You'll have a pension and benefits. And I said, no, I want a big car and I want to wear suit and ties, and that's always been my vision, and I've lived to that vision. And I think that questions that I had, I needed someone to explain. And the only way that I really learned to understand W. Jerry Garrett was I went in my mid-20s to a psychiatrist, and I wanted to know what makes me think the way I think. And I got so deep with the psychiatrist, I then decided I was going to go to a psychologist also. And I used to go twice a week. And I really understand what makes me think the way I think. And it all balls back up to I'm very satisfied with me. And I think that young black people, young black men, especially poor young black young men, really have to come up with a vision of what they want to be. And come up with a vision. What are the consequences of being that? And go with it. And you have to have faith. I'm not saying be a Christian.
You're really kind of pushing that,
But-
it's okay if you want to be a Christian, right?
If you want to be. I really do think that you really have to know that there's something bigger than you, some that you can talk to.
Agree.
Anyway, it's been nice sitting here talking about me. I love that.
Well, thank you for being here talking about you.
Oh,
I appreciate it.
anytime. Next time, though, I'm going to charge you.
Okay. Understood. That means we need some sponsors. So we can pay.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Dad. And you can cut his mic before he jumps in again. And
No,
He said he's out.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, Katrina, I want to talk about why did we decide to be here. We're gonna absolutely let him out. Someone said that they're gonna share your words of wisdom with their son.
Oh.
I'll
Did you
talk-
make it?
what did you say?
Someone said they're gonna share their words of wisdom with their son. Now you're on Facebook. I didn't put you on Facebook, but now you are. So see, that's on you. Okay.
I sounded like I looked young and spry, didn't I?
Okay, so thank you, Father. So, why are we here? The reason why I wanted him on first is one that he was asked by the founder of Boys to Men, and that's where we are today at the Boys to Men studio in Lathrop Village. But I brought him on because I've lived my entire life with that wisdom, and you didn't realize it's wisdom until it's now. Back then I hated it. But the trials and tribulations to know what he's gone through and where he's at lets me know that that's where my life is going also. And I think that's where we talked about, that's why we started this. So just to give your background, Katrina, why are you here?
Why am I here? Well, I'm grateful that your dad was here because my father was a huge influence for me as well. And so as I sat there and listened to him and tried not to get emotional, I think that it's so important to have a strong daddy, and someone who can guide you. And they create tough and amazing women who accomplish amazing things. And it equips us with the tools to handle all the stuff that life throws at us, and so I think that we have unique stories, everybody does, but we have the opportunity now to kind of come together and help other people navigate it with the humor of your father, because there are a lot of women who don't have dads. And so I think it's really cool to have that aspect of a strong black man who is going to tell it like it is and, embarrass us, because that's what daddies do. I mean, like, really? So I can't even imagine if my father was sitting in this other chair, because I'm sitting here rolling things in my head like, oh, yeah, he would have called names and cussed everybody out in the process. So, So I think that the audience will get to see a little bit of them come through us as we navigate this this podcast of Life Unscripted.
Yeah. So the reason why I started this is because I have this thing on TikTok, which is called Damaged Not Broken, which you know of. And it's just 3-minute videos, but it's things that to me are inspirational. When things hit me, I do the video as soon as possible. And one of the reasons is because the last one I'll say is about planning. I planned so much for my life, and I did have goals and things like that. And then the rug was pulled out from underneath my feet and made me fall hard is when my son passed away. My only child died of sickle cell anemia 3 years ago. And so that has me here today saying that, there's going to be some storms, there's going to be some tribulations, but the fact is how are you going to handle them? And then, like what my father said, you have to handle them with faith. You can be a Christian. That's what I say. Even though I don't know, I was caught up on that, but whatever it is, and I say it also on the Damaged Not Broken, that, whatever you pray to, whatever God you pray to, you just have to keep believing that there's something bigger. And the one thing that keeps me going every day now is that my son always hated to see me sad. And so I try not to be sad as much as possible for him. And then it's just the fact that I just know that there's no way that God would make me go through all the things that I went through these last 3 years and not have something great on the horizon for me. And believe me, it is, not just my son that passed away, but there's some other losses that, we can talk about at a later time. Right now, I'm just not in the mode to discuss it. But yeah, so if you have any questions real quick for either one of us, please feel free. I didn't realize how tired I look, which I'm going to have to do something about this before we come back. Oh, my God. I am tired, but I took a nap today. But anyway, so I'm really, really excited about doing this. Q has been wonderful, who is our engineer here. Shout out to you. Hello, Q. Okay. Yep, shout out to you. And to Mark and everybody that's really been pushing me to do this podcast. And the reason why I picked Katrina is because Katrina has all the traits that I don't. She's very organized. She's very focused. Even though we're both Sagittarians. As a matter of fact, Katrina's birthday is coming up. But she has it going on from what I see off of social media. And so that's why I wanted you to be here with me. And then, of course, she's someone that knows me, knows my heart. And now that I know that my father even thinks that I'm a captain, save a person, we're just going to leave it at that. That's hilarious to me because someone else says the same thing to me, which I wish I could tell you the story, but I'm not going to be Jerry. But anyway, so what else do we have? And how much time do we have left? Oh, so you have any questions? I don't see any.
Someone said Damaged Not Broken helps them so much.
I'm so glad that you watch it. If I showed you all of the outtakes that I have and all of the what is it called, the what
Bloopers.
Yes, or the ones that I just have saved. I mean, there's some that I have literally busted out in tears and was like, yeah, I can't use that one. So they're just saved in my drafts right now. But I feel as though I was put on this earth to make sure that I give back, not just financially, but also spiritually, emotionally, inspirationally, however that I can. Certainly taking life to, I don't have a choice. I wake up every morning and I think, I used to wake up honestly and scream because I could not believe, and I'm just being truthful to all of you all. I scream every morning that I could not believe my son was gone. Mm-hmm. And it was, to wake up crying every day. That's not how you start your day. But now, with some other things, my mom got sick and be quite truthful. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. My husband left me. And so all these things just happened right after that. And so now to know that there's, I still believe in God, and I know that there's something bigger. So now every day that I wake up, it is about, thank you, God. What do you want me to do today? And I really think that, yeah, Willie, I have taken my life to a whole nother level because I think I'm unafraid also, unafraid of doing things and unafraid of saying things, which is probably scary for a lot of people too. So, tis what it is. So I think we have only a few more minutes. I don't know. We're going to regroup and try to figure out when we're going to do this podcast again. We were trying to do it the live way today, and I think we have some bloopers and outtakes from that also. But we're going to get together soon, and so this is our first one. I'm really excited.
I'm excited too. I'm grateful to the 12 people over there and the hundreds over there. It's hundreds, believe me, it's hundreds, right? Yeah, I'm very grateful. I think that, you know, the life gives us these defining moments, and we never really know what we're going to do with them until we have to work our way through them. And I remember when my mother passed away, I cried every single day for a year. And then one day I woke up and I was like, oh, I didn't cry today, you know? And so I think that these defining moments and this trauma that we experience, it shapes us in a unique and beautiful way. And so, but it feels like, you know, crap when you're going through it.
Absolutely.
So I think that you have, from the outside looking in, you've handled what you've gone through, particularly with the passing of your beautiful son, with so much grace. And for you to be able to sit here and to want to bring others along, even if you are a Captain Save a person. Captain Save a person. What a blessing that is, you know, because that is a way to turn that tragedy and that pain into something beautiful. So
absolutely. And I thank you for that. And so this is what it's going to be about. It's going to be about inspiration. It's going to be like, you know, call in, write in, what is on your mind. We're not psychologists nor psychiatrists. So this is just giving you advice from our lives, I guess. So, Q, how much time do we have now? None?
is it a wrap? Did we make it?
So I want to say this one thing is that, you know, trauma is going to shape you to be the person that you are, but it does not have to shape you into being someone horrible or giving you where there's no hope. There's always hope, no matter how much of a storm you're going through. So remember, no mud, no lotus. You can't have a beautiful flower without half the crap that the lotus has to grow out of.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, everyone that joined. I appreciate it.